Hoi there, small fry, Jim Sterling here, and this is another edition of Itch.io Tasty, the show where I go to itch.io, type a random word into the search bar, and see what kinds of weird and interesting games we get. This week, well, Fallout 4 came out, and I need some of that tasty ad revenue still, so we're doing a Fallout-themed episode. I've decided I'm going to do that. Every episode's going to be themed around something that week. That seems like a good idea. So I looked up Fallout. There were only 2 games. None of them looked interesting. So I went with Wasteland instead because, well, that's Fallout themed enough, isn't it? So what we're going to do right now is, well, have a look at that. So here are the games that I found that caught my eye searching for Wasteland. First up is Wasteland Golf, which is a very promising game indeed, actually. Really the only criticism I have of it is the lacking sound. There is sound, but it only happens when you die, and you just get a very simple noise when you run into something. But the basics is you use the mouse to get the strength and the direction of the shot on the ball. The ball will go in the direction you whack it in with the amount of strength based on how far you pull your mouse back. So it's just a simple click and drag situation. What happens is the golfer then follows the ball, and the golf course is littered with post-apocalyptic problems, be they mutant dogs or spilled cans of nuclear waste. The aim, of course, is to eventually get the ball in the hole. You lose points if you collect food and stuff, but you need stuff to survive as well. There are some collectibles there. It's a really clever little idea for a game, and I like it quite a lot. As I say, the only drawback is the lack of sound. A little bit of music, some more sound effects, and this would have been my pick of the week, I think, otherwise. But yeah, good, really good. It was made for a jam thing, I think. It was like a very quickly put together thing. So a bit more effort onto that, and that's something I would easily buy, if it was on a console or on Steam or on something like that. This is again one of those games I'd actually love to see on something like the 3DS, actually. Have all the action on the top screen, but have like the touch screen and the stylus to hit the ball. If this were on 3DS, I'd buy it in a heartbeat, with a bit more production value put into it, like I say, put a bit more sound on it, and you got yourself a golden game. Good stuff. Good. I had to touch on Wasteland Kings while it was here. This is the original version of Nuclear Throne that turns up when you hit Wasteland. It's pretty much Nuclear Throne. You can see all of the things that make that game what it is. I'm a big fan of Lambier's work. Ridiculous Fishing is it was one of my games of the year when it came out that year. And Nuclear Throne is a great deal of fun. It was always a regret of mine that I never got a working video of it for Squirty Play or something like that. Could just never get the thing to record properly. I know there's a way to do it, but I'm lazy, and by that point it became too late. So anyway, here's a little bit of footage of Wasteland Kings, which is more or less Nuclear Throne, but not quite Nuclear Throne. So it's obviously quite good. It's free, since it's the original prototype version, but I would recommend Nuclear Throne as a thing. So that's cool. That's cool, isn't it? Good. I forgot to do scores for these. The other one got, 8 golf balls out of 10, and this one got 6 nuclears out of Throne, just because the original version, the main version, is already out. I forgot to do scores. That's like one of the gimmicks of the show. Icy Journey on the White Wasteland is a kind of, basically a choose-your-own-adventure style game, but it's got a Wasteland-style character creation system and everything like that. But while there is combat and hunting and stuff like that, it's all done in text. It's all kind of based on choices. You do build a character with stats and everything. And it's just, I guess it's an interesting take on the visual novel, choose your own adventure style format. I quite like the atmosphere it has. It's just a demo version. It was funded on Indiegogo, and Itch.io has a demo version of it. They call it a survival RPG, but it is closer to visual novel than role-playing game. It's definitely unique. I like the music. It's got a very bleak feel to it, very similar to This War of Mine. That was a game I thought of quite a bit. My one real issue with it is one scene I came towards the end of my session where they tried to tackle racism, which, you know, fair dues for a game trying to actually tackle racism, but they did it while constantly referring to the victim of said racism as the black man. I mean, like, a ridiculous amount of times, which just, I don't know, seemed a bit self-defeating. But otherwise, I mean, fair play to them for trying. The story itself is actually kind of interesting, even in the sort of brief time I allotted myself to get the impressions of the game. I gave it more time than I normally give some of the others, just because the story was interesting enough, and the world they're building is, while not wholly unique, has enough of a sense of history and reality to it that I found myself getting into what they were talking about, things like the Red Horsemen and all this bandit stuff, and these mysterious people with technology that are taking blood samples from people. So yeah, I will keep an eye out for this in future. I'm interested to see where Icy Journey on the White Wasteland goes. So I will give this one, let's say, 6 special snowflakes out of 8. Home of the Wasteland is a fairly standard rubbishy shooter, you know, those kinds of things that people try and sell on Steam for money. At least this one isn't asking for money. The developer does say it's a very unfinished product at the moment. They said that they're looking to sell it for about anywhere between 50 cents and $1.50 when it's finished. Normally I look at a game like this and I don't see the potential in future, because if you think that's, you know, it's in a state good enough to show people at that point, it's like, I wonder how much more you're going to do with it. I mean, it's got competent shooting and stuff, but most of that seems to be a product of Game Guru rather than anything the developer has done. But, you know, it's on itch.io, it's free, it's there, it's, you know, it's not offending me through its existence, but it is, looking at it as fairly as possible, not very good at all, you know, unfinished or not. So I'm going to give this one 50 cents out of $1.50. Now here's Ultra Wasteland Racers. There is actually Wasteland Racers as a browser-based game in the search results for Wasteland, but that's the old version. This is the new and improved version, and something tells me that Clam Champs Studio, the folks behind Ultra Wasteland Racers, did not work with Vlambeer to basically use their characters. You've got the plant, you've got the fish, you've got pretty much everything from Nuclear Throne / Wasteland Kings here in Ultra Wasteland Racers, which is itself kind of a mediocre running game. You just click up and down to avoid the objects in your way, like the mini-game in Castle Crashers, or dozens of other running games that you can get. It's not very good, and seems to be quite short. I got over halfway through before making a mistake, and then I lost interest in playing it, so I didn't bother trying to get further. But yeah, that's there. Again, and you know, it's on there for free. I guess it's not hurting anyone, but again, something tells me that Vlambeer didn't approve any of it, and certainly looking at the visual quality of it, wouldn't approve of it. But it exists, so I'm going to give that one no thrones out of anything nuclear, ever, for any reason. Wasteland. Here's Escape the Vault Part 2. Frankly, I expected way more games to just take their ideas from Fallout, but this is the one we got, and well, it's crap. So I'm going to give this one half a feral ghoul's dick out of the entire Commonwealth. Super Murder Wolf is more like Super Troll and Error. It's got a nice bit of music. It looks fairly decent. You just click left and right to avoid the caves that come up, but it's so fast-paced, and the caves come at you so, and like the turning is so tight, and you've got to be tight. It comes down to sheer practicing over and over again and getting muscle memory and knowing what to do. The moment the configuration is new, when you get further than you got before and it changes, you get buggered. I'm reminded actually of the jet bike sequence from Battletoads, which isn't a good thing to be reminded of. So, you know, again, free, it's there if you want to try it. It's got a lot of potential, but it's just also kind of annoying. So that's going to get one murder wolf out of the pack of murder wolves that go around murdering people with knives. Rounding us out is Astro Void, and yeah, it's alright, I guess. It's a shooter. The one interesting thing about this is there doesn't seem, at least from my looking at it, there doesn't seem to be an allowance for shooting in multiple directions. You shoot where you face, which actually is annoying at first, but becomes slightly part of the challenge as you kind of get distance between you and the things that are coming after you, turn round and blast them. So that's interesting. It's just it's not a particularly gripping game. Not bad at all. It's not terrible. It's just there. It's just a game that's there. So that's Astro Void. The most interesting thing about it is its description, which is die in the wasteland that is your heart, but is actually space. So that's all right. So I give this one half a heart. Half a heart. That's actually space. So that's our look. I actually didn't pick a King of the Hill this time. So you know what? I actually am going to go with Wasteland Golf. By far, I mean, obviously Wasteland Kings is probably objectively the best game here, but because it's a prototype version of an already existing game, I mostly just included this just to say that I like Vlambeer. So I'm going to go with Wasteland Golf, just because I see a ton of potential in it, and I really enjoyed what I played of it, and the only downside was, as I say, the lack of musical sound effects. Looked good, it was good, so that's my cream of the crop this week. If you can easily try it out on itch.io, or just keep playing Fallout or Rise of the Tomb Raider or whatever it is you're doing this week. Until next time then, get itchy and stay tasty, my friends.